Welcome to TrophyCast, the official podcast of Trophy Properties and Auction. I'm your host, Jake Brown. On this show, we sit down and chat with experts in the fields of real estate, land management, conservation, and hunting, all to help you live a more outdoor lifestyle, buy and sell your own trophy property, and feed the family. Welcome to TrophyCast. I'm Jake Brown. This is a different episode than we usually do. We've got a video component, so you can listen to it, but I would also recommend you check it out on our YouTube channel, Trophy Outdoors, and we're going to have some pretty cool visual elements to go with this. I got a few guests with me today. I got broker partner Jason Cleveland. We got number one agent Joe Ogden, and we've got friend of both of them and world champion turkey caller extraordinaire, John Egolf. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to TrophyCast.
Well, glad to be here.
Yeah. So you guys just came in from a pretty successful hunt after a few frustrating days. Tell me about the morning. What happened?
Well, you know, it finally one gobbled on the tree, so we were actually able to get in on one and actually set on a turkey. And the last 3 or 4 days, it's just they ain't been gobbling, so we can't even set up on a turkey. So
it's Thursday. Saturday was phenomenal. We had turkeys gobbling all day long. Saturday
Killed two
Saturday. And since then, it's like there's
struggle bus.
You know,
it's been terrible, but they just been shut up. They're there. So anyway, turkey gobble got in, set off on a pretty ridge, and classic hardwoods Missouri hunt. Strutted right up to us, and John was a little anxious. Usually he got within 40, he torched him. So, but after you go through what we've been through the last 3 days, it's been tough.
Yeah. So today's Thursday. You guys killed on Saturday. Since then, it's been pretty quiet. Is there a reason why turkeys shut up like that?
I'll leave it to the old timer.
Hey, I wish I knew. I really do. I mean, I'd be a rich guy if I knew what makes them gobble, what makes them doesn't gobble, or at least I'd be caught up on my sleep.
Yeah.
Because no, I mean, there's different theories. Barometric pressure may make a difference. The old school, working like we all do for a living. Just go. I just recommend go turkey hunting every day, and you'll go ahead and find the ones today they are gobbling. But nothing that I know of. If somebody knows something, please share.
Yeah, it could be, we think about barometric pressure and weather and rain, winds and cold and we've been decently pretty the last 3 days. I mean, a little cold.
It's a little cold, but not enough to shut them down, but they have been quiet.
I mean, literally, we hear 5 birds there 2 days prior, go in there, 0. It's just, you can't explain it. It's very, very frustrating. But you stay after it, you get a turkey that works, and now all of a sudden we're calling champions again. So,
I mean, they do go through a breeding cycle, just like whitetail and a rut. There's pre-rut, post-rut. Turkeys have the same type of thing. It's not as well defined that we know as much about it. At least I don't. And but at this stage, like I said, they were all hot. And I said usually a turkey is ready to gobble a lot ahead of a hen. It's early spring. He'll be hammering and hitting it real hard. And then as things happen, everything starts shutting down a little bit. The hens are starting receptive. The hens go to the gobblers, and that shuts them down too. And then you throw in hunting pressure, and that has a significant effect on them.
Hunting pressure has a lot of effect on them, but we haven't been suffering from that where we've been hunting.
No, some of our farms have been untouched for a couple of years.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Where we killed this morning usually is loaded with birds, and Joe hasn't hunted it in 2 years, and they haven't been gobbling on that farm until today. So
yeah.
Weird thing is, I mean, we've had them gobble, and then we'll go to approach them or something, and then they just shut up within like 200 yards, 300 yards.
Get close to them.
Yeah. I mean, were we too loud, or is it just they're just quiet right now? Both.
Not necessarily making too loud for as far as making them respond to you gobbling. You got to watch being too loud when you're actually got them responding. You're trying to get them to come to the gun or within gun range. A lot of folks say, "Why'd my turkey hang up?" And from my experience, because you called a little too loud as they were coming in, because they come in wide open,
Just like this morning, John.
Yeah.
Prime example.
Yeah,
that
perfect.
bird was.
you guys were super quiet.
I was super soft from the get-go, but like he got to 80 really quickly or whatever. We couldn't quite see him, and he just kept hanging there, and I never really got into him. I just kept throwing the call backwards and not even being aggressive. He was gobbling every note. We just kept getting it back. A lot of guys would have been like throwing it right in his face, up the volume. Well, I'm not yelling at you right now. You know what I mean? We're right here. So I think it's a volume thing, like you said. As they start to get closer, you lower it. You do turkey talk, you know what I mean? You don't just have to cut at them all the time. It's just comforting for them to come on in. It took him 15 minutes to kind of get comfortable.
It seemed like about 3 hours.
But he finally tiptoed down in there, and it just was He was hung for a minute.
He was hung for a while.
He's hung at about 110 yards.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He finally coaxed him in there, but we didn't overcall.
But even the whole hunt was kind of weird because here was a 2-year-old turkey without another turkey in sight. And
There were no hens in there, anything.
Nothing. And usually a 2-year-old turkey this time of year wants to come, is going to come in pretty quick. And this guy acted like
He was a little bit weary. He had the longest gobble I ever heard.
Yeah.
It was odd.
Some great audio on that, though, because he would make a crazy long gobble and almost interrupt himself in the middle of it and start over.
Yeah.
Yep. Interesting.
That's your point on quietness is definitely interesting. I mean, when you think about it, you're seducing them. You're trying to bring them in, playing hard to get, flirting with them a little bit.
Yeah. Did you yell at him when you were running the straight line?
Get over here.
So it's
It's also reversing Mother Nature, too, as well as yelling at him. We're always out there trying to reverse how it normally works for
think
them.
if you ever
so then
sat-
yelling at him on top of it is...
right. If you ever sat sideline while hen and gobbler are doing their thing and you're just listening because you're out of the game, she's not necessarily just getting with it. She's doing her thing and he's coming, but she's not overcalling. He hears her, she hears him. They're coming together. I will say this: I think some of them wild hens are going that extra 80 yards that we're not going.
Yeah.
And that causes the hang up, because they're like, I can see 80 yards in this timber. Where are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because she should be walking
I'm up
together.
here fanning, doing my thing up here, gobbling, displaying, and you're not making any effort here. You know what I'm saying? So well, that's just part of the game.
Yeah.
Flick. Come on.
Yeah.
There's little
Bought
things
you a
like,
beer. Come on over here.
yeah, he might have a spot that he just really likes to strut, like a strut zone, we call it.
Oh, yeah.
And he got up there in that spot. He might have been there since the last 5 days, strutting right there, and it worked. So those hens eventually did work their way up to him, so he's going to wait for that to happen. So there's so many little nuances. I think that's what makes turkey hunting so fun. The way I look at it is if he's gobbling, he's telling me I can get him, but I got to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's just not like going out. I mean, I love deer hunting maybe as much or more, but you do all your thinking then before season. After season, during season, you're pretty much static, and where turkey hunting's always read the woods, read the language, body language, whatever, different sounds.
It's that bubble thing, too. Getting inside that next little bit of a bubble to
150 yards on a
You know what I
turkey
mean?
is he should be reacting and responding right.
You really start talking to them. I'd say the last 3 days we haven't talked to a turkey.
Those Jakes.
No.
Well,
Well, there's Jake's, yeah.
We got those Jakes riding the decoys.
If you can't get in the game or get in the bubble, it's just it's tough. And we like running these diaphragm calls and talking to them or whatever. But you got to get in their bubble.
That Jake's experience was cool. I mean, it was a bummer that they were Jakes. You almost shot it, but I mean,
They had pretty full fans, gobbled like men, and there was just enough roll in the hill that the two shooters couldn't see them. I could see them from a long way off and knew that they were Jakes. I was like, I'm about to see some Jakes get torched here.
Yeah.
But they finally figured it out.
It was about a half a second away.
It was about a half a second away. I saw what I thought was an even tail fan. So it's a long beard, so I'm going to shoot. And he said, as soon as I tell you, I'm going to cut him. And I'm watching, waiting. And then
They were like super Jakes because there's only the two outside feathers on each one.
was close.
And they were low enough from you guys, you couldn't see it, but I was up a little higher. I could see those two short feathers on each side. I was like, whoo.
I couldn't
It just
see
seems like
him.
more, and I'm, how long I've been turkeying, I don't know, but it seems like the last couple of years, just more and more of those dominant Jakes, super Jakes, where they're coming in gobbling like big turkeys.
Oh, yeah.
And you got the safety off, and they're Jake. It's just it's happened in Kansas this year. I've seen it in Illinois. I've seen it. I don't know. Maybe it's just coincidence, but it seems to be there's more of them dominant Jake.
Well,
packs
see, but
running
the hatches seem to be getting a little more skewed because of weather systems and stuff. You get some born wrong or born right. They're different, older, more turkeys.
It's like we talked about that turkey this morning. Could he have been born in July?
Yeah, it has to be super late because he's a tiny little.
He's a smaller 2-year-old. So
Why are you
like,
picking on my turkey?
No, man, I'm proud of that.
4 darn days for that dang thing.
man,
Come
I thought we
on.
shot a Boone and Crockett.
I've been carrying decoys for 5 days with nothing in front of me, man.
technically it's a tom. It's still technically a tom.
2-year-old.
Full fan,
Had a
2-year-old.
full fan,
Anybody would have
yeah.
shot the turkey. You know
Full
what I
fan,
mean?
long beard goblin.
But it's something to be said if they're losing their nest early
Yeah.
a couple times to a predator and then a hay cutter, and they go ahead and breed again. So therefore, are we seeing like an elongated rut for the turkey like we are these deer? There's so many does. We're seeing these long ruts. We're seeing second and third ruts. Like they're rutting in January now.
Not because
here.
there's too many of them, just because there's too much human interaction and predator interaction.
Well, I think there's too many does to be bred that they're cycling and not getting bred, so they cycle again 20 whatever days later.
I'm with you on the does, and it's just not the hens. There's not too many hens.
I'm just yes, but I just wonder. I just don't know how to figure that out or who to talk to that's studying it. But I just think there's got to be something to be said that it's either a super late nest or was it a way early nest.
I mean, is it also maybe because we have so many jakes because turkey numbers have been down for the last few years, and now we're like starting to catch up a little bit with the males, and there's fewer toms out there?
I think just weather related last year.
I said it on the last podcast. I think we got more turkeys around than we've had in the last few years based on camera pictures, but not based on vocalization.
No.
You know what I mean? You go out there. I thought we were going to have one of the best. Now, round youth season, it was epic. It was a lot of gobbling. I was scouting. I was hearing a lot of turkeys. Quiet time now. The first few days was good, and we always go through a pocket, like you said, but it's like it could be hot next week. But I think we got turkeys. Look at the sign we've been seeing, John. I mean, scratching everywhere, tracks. They're just not vocal.
Whole ridge lines just tore up like there's 100 turkeys there. Yeah. You go there first light, no gobbling.
It's probably the worst feeling in the world. I mean, you want to just cry. I mean, it's just like you've wasted. Yeah. Now you're jumping in the buggy to go to another farm or spot, and you're just scrambling just to hear one. And
it's 7 o'clock, and we're ripping onto a new farm.
Yeah, and we're fortunate enough to be able to have some properties to hunt. But like it's as a turkey hunter, that's the whole point is to interact. I don't want to deer hunt them. I don't want to wait on them.
No.
And if it gets to that point, I just won't do it. Yeah. I just won't. Yeah. Won't hunt them.
Yeah.
But I'm from Pennsylvania, so I've seen it. I can't speak for here too much, but predators make a big difference too in the vocalizations. I think every year I get more and more coyotes coming to a setup. We didn't have coyotes back then, so I can really base that, from
Dating
the past.
Yourself.
Yeah, and so the coyotes, coming all the time. If they're coming to me calling a turkey, they're coming to the turkey every time, and I think that hurts the vocalizations too. They just, they go ahead and lip off too much. Somebody's chasing them.
Yeah.
They're
Bobcat showing up, coyote, human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's makes sense.
So is this your first time hunting in Missouri?
Nope, I was out once before.
Ooh, don't tell him that. Don't tell him that, John.
Taking a scab, Jake.
This has been the longest I've ever hunted with a human being without pulling the trigger.
Yeah, then you consider his skill set of calling, man. Like we've got 5 days this time, 4 days last time.
I'm
9 days
embarrassed
to kill him a turkey.
Embarrassed to say that. I mean, it's really.
I think I'm bad luck.
No, I mean, we hunted some tremendous farms. He's been here at the, whatever you call it, the turkey lull, the October lull. This is the late April lull. It's been
second week lull. We called it home.
Yeah, I mean, maybe jury's got a name for it. I don't know, but it's not good. It's just, and he's an excellent turkey hunter. Been doing it a long time. Great caller, and for us to be in these areas, unpressured turkeys, it's just. But we got it done, so that's all that matters. And now we broke the ice now. So
yeah, now I have one more day. Flying back home tomorrow. Our season starts Saturday. Mm-hmm. So doggone it, I have to go turkey hunting on Saturday again. Man.
Bad life.
Yeah. So how would you say this area compares to Pennsylvania?
The terrain-wise, much different from where I live in Pennsylvania. I like it here a little better because I got too much of this on most of my terrain back home. It's beautiful country. I mean, driving around with these guys and showing me this country, it was worth the trip just coming out to see this stuff, And so I, just the different types of terrain, I really like that kind of stuff. And
So give us a little bit of your background and pedigree, John. Like, how'd you get into turkey hunting? How'd you get into turkey calling? How'd you get into the contests? All that stuff.
Well, I don't know really why I was really bitten. Nobody in my family was a turkey hunter. So it was, I was junior in high school, and there was a guy back home known for being a big turkey hunter. And
what year would have this been? 1975.
So I went out, and he called me my first turkey, and I got him, at 75, and I was hooked. There was just, that's me. I got to do that. So started practicing. I bought a tape recorder, and I'd go to a contest because there wasn't audio and stuff available back then. I would put that up on the stage, and then I'd take it home and play it, call, and record it till I learned how to do it.
You had 2 recorders.
2 recorders. About one to record, one to play me, and then one to record what I was making. It took a while. But entered my first contest in 1977. I won the first one I was ever in. Wow. Actually, I entered the amateur and the pro division just because you can go up, and I won both contests, so it was no more calling amateur. And been calling ever since. Got bit by the bug, and it just something really became part of my life, And one of the best things that ever happened in my life. I mean, I'm a member of, unofficial member because there's no real club, but all the, Mark Drury and all the guys that started out, Michael Waddell, all of us were just turkey callers, back in the early 80s, and still, now I can, pretty much go where I want in the country and do different things, and just because of relationships, so I'm thankful to be a turkey caller. It's not a big pond, but it's you won't find better people, like these guys. I met them in Nashville.
Oh, cool.
Down at Grand Nationals, and
we just walking around a bar weirdly, and we just heard this yelping.
Who is doing that?
I was like, man, am I hearing shit?
At a bar. You're like, is that
Maybe. I don't know what he's
bar.
even doing. He was like calling. I don't know what he was doing. He just over yelping. So I went over. I was like, do that again. And he did it again. I was like, damn. I said, that's all I said pretty much. Hey, Joe, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. And then literally 24 hours later, we were there again the next night. And you just kind of over and, hey, how you guys? He handed us some calls. And he's been building our calls since then. It's been what, 8-10 years?
yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
So he's really helped us get to the next level, and just with tones and cadences and different things, and just helped us. And now we got him out here turkey hunting, and it's been cool. It's been a good relationship.
That's awesome. So what goes into making a turkey call?
Well, there's only a few components. There's a frame, there's the latex or the prophylactic that you use, and some tape to seal the air. Like basic components to making a turkey call.
Yeah.
And then it's just mechanics. You just have to learn how to do it. And it's not hard. It seems to be.
Says the professional.
Wait a minute, Jake, put one in there right now.
I'll make you a call you call, Jake. It's not hard. He said it.
Yeah, it's easy.
It's there's not too many moving parts, but after you get that down, then you can really
Well, John, just touch on you ain't got to be a champion caller to kill a turkey.
No.
I'm a prime example of that.
But
He's elevated my game, but I am not like him and Joe. Joe and he have mastered the calls. Joe's yelps are second to none, man. I'm sure there's tons of guys out there that call as good, but Joe's yelps are hard to beat, man. They're phenomenal.
I still call nationals and whatnot, but I've been judging last couple of years because of some health issues, and so I listen to him. And his yelp is as good as anybody out there right now. We have to clean up some of his other stuff a little bit there, or he's ready to compete.
Yeah.
If
killing
you want
turkeys,
to.
though, yeah.
Well, yes, but
No, I know. Yeah, we've been talking about it, but I'd have to clean it up and get superior.
Just for a
at every
contest
note.
scenario
You can't go
type
out
thing.
there and make any mistakes.
You can't be on that stage with any.
There's a couple of those things I'm not as comfortable with, but I never have needed it to kill turkeys. The yelp and the
Kiki runs. And
some things like that.
Stuff like that.
Certainly, if we sat down and just really dug in, he would have me there. It's just a matter of working at it, but maybe one day.
But yeah, difference between first and fifth at a major contest might be 3 points.
Wow.
They judge on half points, but it's tight. It's real tight.
So explain the contest process a little bit. So you walk up there, they tell you what to do, and then they judge you on that, or?
Yeah. What they do is, there's two different formats. They're changing the one at Grand Nationals a little bit, but the historic turkey calling contest is the National Wild Turkey Federation has a list of calls that could be used in the competition, and like the evening before or the morning of the contest, they'll draw out 5 of those calls. And one might be tree call, kiki run, cluck and purr, gobbler yelps, whatever it might be. So then you have your list of calls. Everybody draws a number out of the hat, which that's my biggest nemesis, turkey caller. And you don't want to draw number 2 because everybody knows the best of the best are there. They don't want to give the scores up, at the beginning. So that's always kind of a bad thing. But you call your number, you go up, and there's 5 judges to 7 judges behind a curtain. They ask you to do your rendition of a hen call, or a plain hen yelp, or a tree call. Plain yelp of the hen.
Joe's been
Call
saying
number
it all
one.
week.
Caller number 1.
Plain yelp of the hen.
It's very dry. At the end of
It's
90.
really cool. If you go down there,
It's
which
cool.
Grand Ole Opry is a great place to be at, but if you go down for the convention in February next year and go into there where they do it, it's so well respected of how quiet it is in there
It
when
is.
they're calling.
Yeah.
It's badass.
Nobody's goofing around.
You're on the best stage, and like if I was ever to get there, I'd be nervous.
Oh my!
I'd be nervous as hell.
That's what hurts me now. More, I didn't used to be nervous when I was younger, and now that I'm old, it's just. I think you put pressure on yourself because you expect something.
Well, right.
After you've achieved some success.
Especially if you make the cut, you get in there, you're one of 13 or one of 12, and then you mess up a note or you get the gobbler yelp, you're like, oh, it's one of my weakest deals. You know what I mean? So like that would be my thing, But then tell them how the judges are. Like they're underneath the stage and
the judges are behind a curtain, and in Nashville they're actually down below the stage, underneath a curtain, and you're calling right over top of them.
Oh wow!
And they have a score sheet from 0 to 20.
No stomping around up there. You got to sound like those guys are covering the whole stage.
Yeah,
too.
they're
Like
walking around
like a whole flock
making
of
a scene.
up there.
You know what I mean? You'd get a kick out of it for never seeing it.
They're out there giving a tiss.
I've seen the little puppeting with their hands.
Yeah, a fellow caller from back home, Denny Golf, kind of started that with his practicing, and every one of us has copied it because it just helps you.
It does help
with the rhythm.
And you can audition for Sesame Street now, and you're good to
You
go.
can.
Get up and do it for us, John. No, it helps. And then, with your using your hands and be able to hear yourself better, people are like, why do you do that? It just helps me hear what I sound like.
When Joe's really getting after it, he has one hand this way and one hand like this. And he's blowing it
so
right up into his ear.
You can hear what you're doing.
It really helps me make the note as good as I can make it. Otherwise, it's just weird. It's hard to explain.
Like an old-time telephone.
Yeah. And then
Well, it
when it
magnifies
bugged me
it.
if a gobbler's coming in like today, I wanted to get my hands up there so bad. And I said, well, I ain't running the gun, so I slipped him up there and I started throwing that call backwards because I wanted to be as soft as I could and I wanted him to feel like the hand was leaving a little bit.
Then he just left him up there because he was afraid to move his hands.
I just left him like this. So I'm like, I'm gonna need him again, so I'm gonna stay here like this. But I use my hands a lot, and and everybody's like, why do you do that? It just helps. I don't know how to explain.
But Grand Nationals now, the last couple of years, they've changed their format to scenario. They may have the same 5 or 7 calls, and you have to put them in. Usually, they call for a spring or a fall scenario, and they'll say, a hen waking up on the limb, flying down, and gets with a couple jakes. And so you've got to do the tree call, and then one of the scores is your creativity and how it sounds like a spring woods.
Wow.
And then the second would be this year, I think it was, a family flock waking up on the roost, flying down on a hardwood ridge in Pennsylvania, and you have to create.
Scenario.
Yeah.
You have to create that picture, and they've got people there judging that can do that. They've got the best of the best and some of the old fellows.
Yeah, when you're just under that thing listening, you're trying to just envision how would it sound in the woods.
Yeah.
And you've heard turkeys on the roost doing their own thing. It's very natural, obviously. That's the thing on that stage. You got to be just like a turkey.
Let's do it. Hypothetical situation. Let's do it.
Well, like a con? Well,
Yeah, Jason, you call it.
No.
You're the judge. Tell them what to
Okay.
do. You guys are going to compete.
I'm going to say,
On the spot.
No, I can't. No. You can't be doing no crazy shit.
I would just
Why
do
don't you
it.
just get up and do the thing? Do your scenario here, John. Do a fly down. Do like you said.
Yeah, like
A hen fly down and get
she wakes up on the limb, flies down. We'll make it complicated because this would mess Jake up with some jakes, so we can hear some.
He can.
I know he can.
When you just
Well-
the key and the shit in there, like
Oh,
he does it as good as he did.
Well, I don't really have any Jake call, but that's everything that adds to they give you 3 minutes to do this scenario. And the guys who could do all the calls on all the different vocalizations on one call have a leg up. The rest of us have to be flipping calls in and out.
Yeah.
I've seen calls hit and roll off the stage.
Time out.
And a fellow back home, he jumped down, got it, got back up,
Wow.
said hi to the judges underneath.
Yeah.
Shook hands real quick.
So, a tree call would just be a small.
Just give us waking up to flying down and then trying to gather everybody.
And just start feeding.
And he's of course speeding this
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
Yeah. something like that.
That was very good. It was fast. I mean,
Yeah, I just kind of didn't know what my
fall stuff in there. You've heard them in your deer stand probably. Hearing that kiki and then a little womp womp. That's the Jake-ish, gobblerish, yelpish stuff. But
Yeah, like
you
a-
gotta to get on there, man. You gotta know every component because they're gonna throw something at you.
And it's that quiet shit. That's I think the differentiator.
Well, and that's
we like today when we killed that turkey. There wasn't anything that like it wouldn't blow you out of this room. Like what he's doing right now is way louder than anything I heard this morning.
Yeah.
and it was like when I made the first. You was gobbling to it. That's how quiet
I was
it
a
was.
foot. We were a foot apart, and I could barely hear him. That turkey hammered every time Joe would make two little clucks.
And that's been my deal.
No,
My
I know it's not
success
you.
has been, it's been my success is just trying to get in there with them and their bubble and soft stuff.
Yeah.
It's easier to control the call doing soft stuff and controlling the tones versus trying to overblow that call or do something you're comfortable doing. But once you get connected, you just keep the tones where you want it. And I can up it if I want to get a little excited, like I come off the tree and then they're there. But then keeping the volumes down, I think, has been some of my success over the years. That's why. I don't know when the last time I called in a turkey with a slate or a box. It's been.
You call it with your lynch all the time.
I call
that's
my
a locator.
That's a locator.
Locator,
Just
yeah.
like I know it don't sound good up close, but it's a pierces the wind.
Yeah.
It goes
That's
over the
the
next
thing.
ridge. You cut, you hammer, they gobble, then you cut 200 yards, then you're to the diaphragm. And so that's just been my deal. Every turkey hunter is different. Some guys are. There's all kinds of calls out there. It's just been. That's just what works for me.
It's very musical. Like dynamics of music. I mean, you can't have music high all the time, Like,
Yeah.
it's very.
And if you listen to those hens, all of them sound different, man. Yeah. They all got little squeaky noises. They sound raspy, or they can change it from real clear and then get to the rasp, and how excited they are. I get a kick out of listening to hens.
Oh, I do.
A lot of times,
That's worth
we
the
ain't heard
price of
much
admission.
we haven't heard much hen talk this week.
Sometimes the loudest hen calling you hear is when you're working that hen, hoping she drags that
Oh,
dog.
man.
Then you can get loud and bossy because she's like, "No, I'm boss. No, I'm boss."
Yeah.
And then you're cutting each other off. But that's the only time I hear Joe
Really
get
get
loud.
her.
Is
I
get
mean, a lot of
after
times you'll get her fired up. She'll come in, and of course they come with her. But we have to dig the footage up. But we have one from way
Cat.
back. She
Cat
sounded
turkey.
like a damn cat. She was doing that. What do you call it? The woo woos.
Yeah, I don't know exactly.
But it
But
was
she
extended.
was very extended. Like it was odd.
We had
And
30 foot of cord and a shotgun mic laid out in the decoy spread. And she walked
Yeah.
by giving cat noises.
Yeah, that was over in Illinois. That was a cool experience. So, and then when you get those, John does it all the time. He saves clips when people put them on social media of hens yelping, and that's exactly what you need to listen to when you're trying to practice.
Cadence, everything.
No different than these waterfowlers. Everything you call to try and listen to how they sound. And try to mimic that. But it's tough. It's tough to be animalistic. You know what I mean?
If I had one thing to recommend somebody starting out is learn to call quiet. Don't worry. You can get 20 different cuts. Doesn't matter. Whichever one you can call quiet on is the most valuable thing you're going to have in the woods. Anybody can learn to call loud, but to call quiet is going to kill you more turkeys than just about. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be whatever, because my voice, his voice, every voice is different. But we're sitting here talking in this room. We're all about the same pitch. The same loudness. And
Except for Anthony behind the camera over there. He's one notch up above everybody else.
That's true.
And but in turkey hunting, you don't want to. I call that throwing up a flag. Say there's one there louder, and you don't want the turkey say, okay, looking, and that one's. You just want to keep everything down. Just quiet, soft, which is the norm.
Well, tell them about the people listening. Tell them, if they're wondering how to get into it. Maybe what's an easier cut to get into. How many reads? What's something they can? What's an easier call to jump into if you've not learned or if you haven't tried?
Definitely get into a 2-reed call. The old times they used to say use a single reed call, but to manipulate a single reed call to get your 2-tone yelp isn't very easy. So if you use a 2-reed call, that's the reason there's 2 reeds. There's a front reed, top reed, and then a recessed second reed. When you're doing the key yelp, every yelp comes high and low. You wanted the top reed to vibrate, and then when you let your tongue fall away, then the second reed engages, and that makes the yelp. So it's better to let the call be built into it to do the work for you and make it easier. So, and I'd recommend not worrying about cuts and raspiness. The cuts in your call designate how raspy it's going to be. If you want a clear front end, you have to have something less stuff to vibrate on the front. But if you want just to learn to call, just a 2-read, maybe a little nip in it or something, but just a 2-read call that you can, and turkeys, same thing we just said. The voices are clear, some are raspy. We all want rasp, that was a cool thing because nobody had it,
Those turkeys in Texas, I went to Texas earlier this year, and they were the whiniest, clearest little eek, 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 eek. That's all they did. There was no rasp, no back end, just eek, 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 eek. That's all they did. When I started mimicking that, they just drug all their gobblers in with them.
Yeah. Totally different voices. But learn to call quiet. That's going to serve you well. I know a lot of guys say, we just talked before we started talking here, why'd that turkey hang up on me? And my experience, calling too loud does it a lot. You just don't want to, same way, you were over there yelling at me, top of your voice over there. If you came right here to the edge of the thing and still yelled me at the top of my voice, I'd throw up a flag.
Yeah, punch him in the face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whoa, wait. This is something else. So things like that. A lot of turkey hunting's common sense. You just have to think things through a little bit.
Think like a turkey.
Think like a turkey.
So what, is there a cut besides the 2 reads that you would recommend for a beginner, or is it just, it's dependent on the person, the cut is dependent on the person's mouth?
Well, see, when you get raspy, it's hard to hear that clunk, kick out. So that's why I recommend just going with a clear call. You put too much rasp in there, they'll just start making what I call turkey noise. Instead of, like if you ran this and you were just running it like a regular one would be, that's the wrong call. That's a top read. But when you don't know how to do that, you start going, and that's what a lot of people get, and they can't hear that, that up and down. So that's why I recommend just a clear 2-read call.
Practice your scales.
And thin latex too. Thin latex or prophylactic usually is easiest to control.
Quit calling it prophylactic. Makes me uncomfortable.
You said it the first time, I was like, that can't be right.
That's right. That's right.
No, you tell a story about how people used to get bags of unpackaged prophylactic.
Oh, I got a bag right here.
Oh boy.
Same supplier that supplies us the latex. Huh? Supplies, not, I don't know how much I'm going to say about that. But
You start running low on calls, start poking holes in condoms.
Well, you don't want the lubricated. You don't want the lubricated
Just put it in your
kind.
mouth.
They stick together too much.
Didn't Will Primos do that?
Day 7 of getting up at 4 o'clock.
Didn't one of the call companies use condoms? Was it Will?
Oh, they all do.
Trojans?
All of them, yeah.
Everybody uses
Extra
condoms.
large.
Prophylactic. That's what they say. If you look at, they'll say prof. If you see every call company will say 3,000's top read over 2 reads of prof. And that's prophylactic. It's thin. It's real lightweight. And
Stand with raised
Can't get pregnant calling turkeys.
rubber studs.
we should buy them in 50-pound bags.
It's for turkeys, I swear.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that story.
Oh boy, now my face is red. That's not even my story.
Oh, that's hilarious. All right, well, we're talking about the things that go into a call. So how do you make a turkey call?
Well, I can tell you. I can go ahead and make you one.
Show it. Talk us through it.
Go old school.
Yep.
This is an old school way of doing it, what you do at turkey camp. They have lots of presses and there's stuff available to do it. But I do it this way. Been doing it this way since the 70s.
Joe, turn that mic towards his mouth.
Oh, okay.
There.
Yeah.
So we need a frame. And see, all these different latexes come, this one's 4 thousandths thick. And these are 2.5 thousandths thick. Then there's a bunch of 3 thousandths. You can go up to almost 6 thousandths till it gets too much like using a shower curtain.
What does the thousandth do? What is that? The thickness?
That's the thickness of the.
And does that determine the raspiness, or what is that?
No, the raspiness is all determined by the cut.
Okay, so the
The
thickness is
tone-
how hard you have to
Press.
Tone? Okay.
How hard you have
And
to
the
press
tone,
it against
can
it.
get you different tones.
Yeah.
And he also, not only does he have different thicknesses and colors, so colors will make it absorb or not absorb water, little changes there of your saliva, but then he's got natural, he swims in the deep end of the pool with all this stuff. I have 3 thicknesses, and that's it.
Yeah.
He has 15 different things he's choosing from
All right.
when he picks.
And explain this like I'm 5, John.
One thing you want to do for most people, and not necessarily a necessity, but it's usually if you take a 4,000ths top read and then run a 3,000ths lower read, it helps the turnover. So I do that for a lot of folks. I'll go ahead and make a 4/3 or something like that so it can turn over easier. So the thing about getting a good mouth call is getting the ones that has the quality and the tones already built into it. Then all you have to do is the manipulation or the mechanics with your mouth instead of, because you can make any latex sound, the way you want by how much pressure you're putting on there. But you don't want to be thinking about all that when you're trying to learn how to call. You want to, so the best, made call that you can get your hands on, that's already built into it. You're better off.
One of the advantages being friends with John, as I've watched him do it over the years for a number of different people, is he'll make a call, try that, and you're like, oh, that's how you call. You need a tighter one or one that's not as tight, and then he'll do that and put it. And then you try that one, you're like, oh, you need this cut. So like 5 calls later of trying different tensions, different latex and different cuts, all of a sudden you're still calling the same way, but he customized that call to you, and all of a sudden you went from 0 to you're making turkey yelps.
Yeah.
And he can take 5 years off of your learning curve by just
That's awesome.
playing around like that. So it's
40 years of doing it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a golf swing. If you have the golf swing, why reinvent that to make it fit a golf club? You go ahead and same way with this. If I already hear your mechanics, I'll go ahead and build you something that you can use with your mechanics.
Yeah.
One problem is you're kind of locked into having to get them from me, but
Well, that's good for you.
yeah.
he doesn't even sell them.
Secret. So what are you doing right now? You're taking the
Okay.
reeds, you're stretching them.
Yeah, I've got this blue 4,000ths piece of latex on top.
Okay.
I'm going to use that as a top read. And I'm just going to make a 2-read call. A lot of people say, oh, I want 3 read, I want 4 read. You're going to get deeper tone. It's going to take a lot more air to push. And what we just said was we don't want loud. So why bother? I don't call these beginner calls. I call them killer calls. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself thinking it's just for kids beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and lay the second read on there, and I'm going to leave a little bit of gap. I'll hold it up here a second to get it together. And see, that's important too when you build a call. I tapped them together, and there's the 2 reads of the call with the stagger. I'm going to
You
use
see that blue overlays just a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
and
And the blue is the top or the bottom?
that's the top read on that.
So the top read's laying over the top. I'm just trying
Yeah.
to narrate this for people that are
Your
listening
top read's
too.
always your longest read.
Yep.
And that's 99% of the time the one that's cut.
Okay.
So, but if you stagger that stagger bigger, it'll make that call turn over easier. If you wanted to really hit harder and really have that kind of sound, you take the stagger out. So there's all kinds of little, finesse things you can do to you build a call the way you want it to be. So then I take a frame, piece of aluminum frame.
Looks like a giant soda tab.
Yeah, I guess it does. And we'll bend it. And this little tab is what locks it together after it's on the call. You always lay that down first. And we're going to slide it under there. Right up to where the crimp starts. Push it down. And this is where I said, some machines, there's presses, there's a whole bunch of real great.
Over there. Let John hold that up so the cameras can see it.
Yeah, I'm going to put the stretch in this call by hand, but you can get a machine like this that you put the latex across here, clamp it down, and every turn of this wheel tightens the latex up.
Okay.
So it can, and that's for a guy just wanting to start out making his own calls. That's a perfect setup. That really is. I mean, they make bigger, fancier ones that you can do 50 times more a day than that, but you're not, unless you're
Production calls. Like
Production calls.
If you're making calls for somebody, this might not be the answer.
might not be the best bet, no. But
Me making 3 today, this is perfect.
yeah, exactly. So what I'll start with, I'll go ahead and crimp that end. That's just squeezing that down so that latex can't move. And then I put the tension in. I have to hit a little bit on here to get a little bit of start on there.
The way he builds them is very much art.
Yeah.
He remembered for 10 years the tension that I like and is able to do it by his hand.
See, and I've stretched that about there, and that's just,
That's about right.
how much is that?
Very exact.
That's about 600,000, about 350, 400,000.
right.
Because we learned that with that thing
I'll
there.
trust you.
So then I'm going to crimp it good. And so there's pieces across there. Then I'm going to pull down and put back tension on the call. And I'm squeezing it, and I'm going to go ahead and push this down and bend that tab over, and that's going to hold it in place.
Got a wrinkle in there.
I do have a wrinkle in there, but I'll get
Good
rid
for
of it.
Joe and I.
Yeah, I'll get rid of that. Like I said, mine are, yeah.
The crinkle.
See, now there's what I was telling you about a regular beginner call, a 2-reed call. Key out. And, well, I can maybe show you that quick. I'm just going to trim off the extra.
You didn't spin it.
Yeah. Listen to my own advice. Let's see if this will yelp clear now.
It's that easy,
That'll kill a
folks.
turkey.
That's no cuts.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to take a little piece of scissors, and what I'm going to make here is a cutter call.
You need your glasses.
And
Need some tubes.
yeah, that'll
He doesn't need his fingers.
And yeah, that'll work. We're gonna make this call raspy by cutting that top reed. So, but there's all kinds of different cuts, and all of them have a bunch of different names. Every call manufacturer makes different ones. Some of them call the same. There's like a cutter call. There's bat wing. There's different versions of that, and they all make the rasp. So we'll go ahead and just cut this the way I like it. So I cut it there, and now I'm going to pull out a piece of it. Okay, so now I have the same call that we had with a chunk out of it,
All right.
and we're hoping it works.
And that's the cut or the reverse cut?
It's a reverse cutter.
That's what we run?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what put the rasp in it.
Yeah.
And little things you probably don't want to know. If you want that to have a little bit of back end, I'm going to pull a little tighter down here.
Fine tune it, of course.
I was gonna say the same thing. I mean, yeah.
I don't like the back end of that either. Sound like crap.
Needs to be just a little tighter.
If we were normally making, that would go.
Yeah, that'd be in the trash already.
No,
I'm dying to get
the
mine.
point of
sound
it is
like
like turkey noises, get your cadences down. Like you ain't got to have that perfect back end like a competition guy, but yes, you got a little rasp, got a little clear.
And that's why it's good. A lot of guys make the mistake when they buy calls or get into calling. They like that sound, that raspy sound. So they might have 10 mouth calls in their vest, and they're all raspy. You don't want to do that. You want one of those clear ones, like I had, because if they didn't come to your raspy stuff, then you have to try something else. So you don't want to go ahead and just keep running the calls you like, because he might like something
I think
else.
a lot of guys out there that don't get their turkey calls out until the night before season, and they're still stuck together, and they're going to use the old ones. I think they struggle to get that clear. They're all mainly raspy, so I'd rather be on that clear end. If I had one call to go with, I'd rather be on the all clear versus
the raspy
all
sound.
rasp. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah.
We know some very accomplished turkey hunters that all they sound like is ruff, 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 ruff. That's all you hear. I think turkeys hear that more often than
Sound like a squirrel barking.
Yeah.
But
They kill turkeys.
But if you get
They're
that cadence,
Yeah.
yap, 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 pop, 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 yap, yap, yap. Kill them.
So I'll put a little more tension. He's like elk bugle.
Yeah, he was elk bugling on
Yeah.
turkey calls earlier.
And now if I would throw another reed onto this call, it would take more air, and it would be louder and more volume of sound. but which would be better if I wanted to have the exact right pitch at 300 yards. But you don't need it. 2-read call kills. I mean, if you can get a 3-read call and run it very quiet, do it. I know guys who can do it with 4-read calls.
And they're also 8-time world champions.
Yeah. Size.
It's a difference. We were running 3 reads the other night, and I was out of breath because I'm used to running 2s.
His face was all red. His head looked like.
But I was trying to run it like I do that, but I was trying to get that break in the yelp, and it takes time to figure that out. You can't just throw one in and do it. So I've been running 2s for a long time.
So go with the 2, practice cadence, practice the quiet
That's
stuff.
it, yeah.
Listen, there's all kinds of good audio. Listen, get on YouTube and
Search real hens.
Search real hens and just play that, make that call. Play that, make that call. Then play it together and just mimic her the whole time, and that'll gain you a lot of ground right there.
Yeah.
I don't know why this jumped into my head, but earlier you introduced me and said world champion. I've never won the Worlds.
Oh.
I've placed in it.
Let me be clear.
Okay. All right. We'll modify it. Strike through.
So
I've been with a lot of crawlers. I've been with world champions in the woods before filming. He's right there. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
he ain't got the crown or whatever you get, the trophy to show it, but he's there.
I mean, I literally had moments with you guys on Monday where you guys were calling quiet, and I was like, there's a hen. And I thought it was like a hen 50 yards away in the woods, and it was just you guys being quiet, throw and call. I mean,
Yeah, and them hands in the woods and turning your body. The other day he was calling that box call. Was you with us? Or was you with? I don't know who was. He had your back to us. And you walked 50 yards out, and I told you to turn around.
Yeah.
Completely different.
yeah.
No.
I mean, like,
Absolutely.
whoa, it's on my face now.
Yeah, definitely.
That's that volume thing. So you got to imagine, you just got turkey gobble. You go 200 yards. Don't scream on the box again, because now you're gonna blow his head off. You know what I mean? So with the call, just go to your diaphragm, start.
Yeah.
The other thing is how those gobblers sound just under the crest of the hill. Yesterday, man, we got our ass handed to us by a gobbler that flew down. He gobbled everything Joe did, quiet all in the tree, and he pitched down, and we heard him gobble a couple times. Like, well, he must be gone. We got up the top of the hill, boom, he's just still right underneath the hill. Just we couldn't hear him.
yeah. It also was funny, like we'd be walking through the woods and we'd hear a gobble, but because of the trees and the way that we're all pointing in different directions.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, it was over there. No, it was over there. So I definitely heard it this way. Then you hear it again. You're like, oh, I was wrong. It was over there.
That happens to everybody.
Yeah.
Happens to everybody.
Happens more the older I get, the more it happens.
But then the other thing for beginners to use is use other calls besides mouth calls.
Yeah.
Like box calls, slate calls, different types, some other good stuff that really works well.
Yeah. Do me a favor, John. Pull that mic back in front of you.
Okay.
I think a lot of people are intimidated by mouth calls because the slate call is so much easier to get a variety of sounds. Besides the basics that we've talked about of just quiet, cadence, 2 reads, are there any other tips for beginners?
It's going to be hard to maybe when we're filming, but realistically, all you really have to think about when you're turkey calling or learning to turkey call is I use my hand as demonstration. This is the roof of your mouth, and your teeth would be, here. This is like from looking this way. Mm-hmm. And this is your tongue, and you lay that on their tongue, not at the tip of your tongue. Anytime you put a mouth call in and it tickles, you're doing it wrong.
Doing it wrong.
Because that'll kill you. It boys, it ticklish. And you just want to hold that up into the arc of your top of your roof of your mouth. That's what the tape is. You want all the air forced between your tongue and the bottom of this call. And so this is my tongue, and I'll go ahead and show it to you here in a second. But this will be with no pressure, no touch of anything on there. And then I'm going to go ahead and press like up about to there, and that's going to stop the air. And it's kind of you ever take like an air hose that you can squeeze it and then squeeze your in, and all of a sudden you keep constricting it, it'll get shrill? Well, it's the same kind of concept, but you're doing it with your tongue and the roof of your mouth. And I'll start with 0 pressure. Yeah. I stopped it. So to call, you want to start about the middle. And same thing as a turkey's learning to call the same way a person's learning to call. That key, key, key is them doing the first part of the yelp, which we're going to learn right now. You go, there, I want that pitch. You got to kind of get that in your head. And speed them up. That's what I said. Simple.
Seems so easy, doesn't it?
One thing that I'm noticing that you covered and everything else, you might mention that normal people call with tape.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, my bad.
Yeah.
You and Joe and I used to call that way, but I've made some progress when I started putting tape back on my calls.
It's the same tape, same frame, but with this on it.
Yeah.
And this fits my mouth. I think for doing this for 40 years, my mouth is grooved.
Sure is. You probably got calluses.
And
The other night when I ran those 3 reads, I could tell 'cause I was blowing so much more air, more pressure gets
pushing.
there. And I had little, basically sore spot on my where it was hitting each side of the roof of my mouth because you're creating that bridge. It was hitting each side of the.
But yeah, the tape just goes on, such as this, and it looks like a mouth call, and
You cut
the tape is to keep the air from getting over the top, like we just talked.
That is something you probably touch on that you don't want air going around. That's a key thing.
That's
to
a key
get that
thing,
clear
yeah.
note and get
Yeah.
your tone right. It's no air escaping except for over the reed.
Yep. And you can cut the tape to fit your mouth.
That's exactly what I was going to share. Yep. And if you put it in there and you start gagging, start trimming. But be careful. Do it small. Do it little bit at a time, because if you go too much, then you're leaking air.
Yeah.
So you mess up your call. But if you go small and keep putting it in there, and you'll be no trouble. Yeah, that'd be fine. Yep.
Well, what has your experience been running around the woods in Missouri with these guys, especially with the access to properties and stuff that we have? I mean, what are your thoughts on Missouri hunting and trophy properties and auction and this team?
Well, I've learned more about auctions and bids and reserves and easements and that I ever knew. I know the property value now in Missouri, but I have no idea in Pennsylvania. It was great. These guys work their butt off while they're working their butt off to get me a turkey.
Yeah.
It's just amazing the multitasking that they do. It's just phenomenal. And but you guys know it so well. You're talking, and you said 20 things, and I didn't understand the word you said. And
Well, you live and breathe it every day, But
Right.
while we're out there having fun and enjoying what we do, we're taking breaks and taking calls and.
And it is cool to ride around. If I've been selling in this area for 17 years. Joe's lived here his whole life, and ground that I've sold a couple times, and then Joe's sold it once or twice, and we're running around and all this stuff. The history that Joe and I have run around in this country is pretty deep. And killed turkey on that ridge 15 years ago. We have a lot of experience around here.
sure.
That it's pretty cool to share that with somebody too.
But when you got auctions going on and negotiations,
Big auction
we stopped.
yesterday,
And
yeah.
like yesterday, at one point, I had a phone call I had to take. So I looked at those guys, said, I just pointed, go up the road and go hunt, and I'll stay here at the buggy. And they did, and they kind of went to their own thing. So it's just what you're doing, you're trying to enjoy it, but you're still working, and you're out there in the environment that you sell every day. So it's awesome to, experience it. And we hope the guys that are buying land are doing the same thing, that they're buying these properties, want them out there hunting too. So
Got a lot of pictures this week too from other customers and stuff.
Clients
Some
having
pictures, which
success.
we love.
And that's great. That's what it's about, and so hopefully John got to. You've seen a lot of Pike County or Southern Pike.
Yesterday he caught smallmouth, yellow perch, walleye, and we had fried walleye last night.
He found some mushrooms.
Found some mushrooms. We've had a couple skillets full of mushrooms this week. It's been a classic spring Missouri.
yeah, you guys treated me to all it is, and but I want to say quick before if we change the subject or not, we can stay on as long as you want. But if I ever buy or sell property, I wish I have these kind of guys working with me because they're honest.
Get that checkbook out.
That's why I come stay with you.
I know.
But they're honest as the day is long and the integrity's there. I can tell. It's just you spend 5 days in the woods hunting with somebody, you can read them.
Yeah.
And that's why I came back, even though the hunting wasn't so good the last time.
I had to get it done. I was all in. I was going to just say, cancel your flight. You're staying in this. We're getting you a turkey. That's the least we can do is have you out here. You've built, 1,000 mouth calls for us. I have no idea. Like literally, he sends us a bag of them every year.
Yeah, like
different
February,
cuts.
you get a bag of turkey calls show up. Try these. Let me know what you think.
And he's been diligent enough to change the tensions and cuts and learn what we like personally and just totally customize them. So, as he teaches us to build these things, I hope that, I can build one exactly like that and help.
Yours are trickier.
Mine's tricky. I don't know that I could run a call like I do now if I just went and bought one. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out.
You
But
still sound pretty good on
I just have
butt call, I'm sure.
I just have such a comforting feeling when I get a call from him that I just know it's going to sound good.
I mean, it does. It sounds really good.
It's been awesome. So hopefully we can do it for a long, long time.
Yep. Oh, I enjoy it. Yeah, I really do. I mean, I used to have a little call company, 30 years ago, and just got to where just sitting and making them just wasn't really my thing, But to sit down with you guys in a room, they brought friends over. I just love that, And so I really like that aspect of it. I just started working with some guys back in Pennsylvania, the Cluck brand, and really, really great people. I mean, I've been doing it a while. I was ready to retire, and they've made it new again for me. And I watch those guys and their enthusiasm and the quality and the care. They're phenomenal. How good they can build mouth calls. Yeah. And it's good to be fun to be a part of that again.
Yeah.
So I might start going back to nationals and calling again and doing some stuff. But they're good people. I would recommend their brand if anybody wants to try it. They have a unique system on tensions and different things, and that's kind of the thing. We're not really talking about clucks, so to speak, but the tension on the call, because you could buy a batwing cut from this manufacturer and sound good, or sound okay, and then you buy another batwing from this manufacturer, it's totally wrong. It won't work at all. People say, "What's a batwing? Why can't I run it?" Because the tensions are different. And so the tensions are what's really creates, and the more the manufacturer painstakingly keeps the tensions right.
Well, a lot of America or turkey hunters out there don't know that.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't know near what I know now until I met you. Okay. I was going and buying several hunter specialty calls.
We were taking those fangs and cutting.
Yeah, I was running with Matt Moret years ago.
Yeah.
And he was running those. I don't know exactly what he was running, but he was teaching me how to just manipulate a little bit to get the different two-tone yelp and everything. And I was hearing guys that are really good yelp all the time. So I wanted to be like him. George Novosel, he was a good caller, and he was cutting them and stuff. So just different guys. And but I would get a bunch of those calls. And just like I get your bag of calls, like 1 out of 10 is going to be the one. You know what I mean? That's the one you're going to put the dot on with your marker and say, that's the one I want to grab first. And so not all calls are equal.
Yeah.
And that's just.
But every manufacturer makes like the ones Matt was making with Hunter Specialties. That was great for him, and if somebody, that might be perfect for a lot of people, because everybody's trying to do the same thing, make a good quality call. But the tensions are really where it's at.
Tech 3, that's what it was. Remember? It was the Fang, and then they called it the Tech 3.
Tech 3 was the new.
That's when that's when I broke into a new,
Yep. We were cutting a little bit of those fangs off there, just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Get a more clear front on it.
I still got one somewhere, probably all stuck together.
Small tip, but a little tip: if you buy these calls and you don't like them, go ahead and trim them a
Yeah,
little.
if you're about to throw one away, take some scissors out. If it's too raspy and you can't get that clear front, if you trim off a little bit of that overhang that sticks out the most, it's gonna become too clear. But a little goes a long way on that, because you will cut. If you cut it all off, it'll instantly sound like a squealer.
But don't be afraid to experiment with your calls and get different ones. And like I said, I know the Cluck guys real well, so I know their product line better.
So can they get Cluck just online now? Is it all available? Is it?
Oh, yeah,
It's
everything's
all
all
available.
available. Oh,
Just
yeah.
Get online and order them.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. We have full line of friction.
Are you like designing the calls, or are you just working with them to help get the brand out there?
A little bit of both. The mouth calls that they have now, though, they've done that themselves. And kind of like Joe said, you get the calls and you can't really run them. He can't run anything but mine now. These guys are the first ones that I can go ahead and use their calls and use them. I can hunt their calls where I can't hunt. That's why I didn't want to feel comfortable promoting a lot of folks that maybe have expressed interest in me helping them.
So when you buy a pack, you're getting 3 different tensions.
You can
Yes.
buy that pack. They have a high, medium, and low pack.
Yeah, I think
same
it's
cut.
going to be a huge difference in people.
It is, because we're just trying to
Now,
help
2 of them
people.
might get thrown away, but the reality is they figured out what they need.
Right. That's
You
what
know
we're trying to help
Without
people
having to
find.
sit here at this table with us doing this, they've figured out where they need to be on tension.
Yeah, by themselves.
By themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's, yeah.
And then if they find out that they need high tension, now you can buy every one of our products in the high tension.
Yeah.
And that way, like I said, you try the bat wing here and it doesn't work. This way, since we have all these different cuts we have already, and we figured out our tension. Now you can go ahead and jump to every call and know you'll be able to run it. And now you can experiment those different sounds. So it's, such a great way. It's a tool to really help hunters, fine tune what they need.
Trial and error, man. Just got to find the right one. Last subject that I want to talk about, because we've been lucky enough with Joe, and he talked about it in the last podcast, Indian Hill, access to a lot of different properties over the past week, which has been really cool. You've seen a variety of Pike County, Lincoln County, Missouri, and a big variety in the quality of managed properties in terms of what's on this property, what's on that property. I guess all three of you guys, what would you recommend someone do to improve the turkey hunting habitat on their property?
There's the guy right there.
Grassmaster.
Man, I've got guys out here right now that are chasing honeysuckle, putting that invasive species at bay as best you can. But grasses are the big thing. Predators. I've got a trail camera out right now. I keep getting coons on this spot, and so we killed 40-something coons this year. So coons, possums, coyotes, all of that, predator control, and then I've put 50 acres of natural grasses and forbs back in here. Once I get the timber cleaned up enough without the honeysuckle and stuff, then I can start doing edge feathering, because right now I can't do edge feathering or it'll just be a big giant wad of honeysuckle. So, your dad's been chasing it over on y'all's farm for a long time. I'm a couple of years behind, but as soon as I get that done, I'm going to do some TSI in areas, do some edge feathering, but I will not do much. I've got a ridge back there that I want it clean, park-like, and for deer, that might not be the perfect thing, but I know that's where my turkeys roost. That's where I shoot my turkeys, and nobody's touching it. I'm going to keep it clean, and I know they'll be landing there every year.
Yeah. Joe, do you have anything that you've been doing on your properties?
Similar things. We're spread across some things we own and some things we lease. So we're putting grasses on our personal farms for sure. And I'm going to start tackling this honeysuckle like he is. I'm going to start doing some of the things he's doing for sure. But I've been just leaving them alone the best I can on some of these farms. I mean, it's really honestly just like letting them be and like leaving gobbling turkeys. Like kill a turkey, but there's 4 gobbling and literally leave the farm even though we got standing there with tags. So I've been really good to them in a sense. We got access to upwards of 14,000 acres now. And when you're only, killing a turkey every 1,000 acres between me and my buddies, like we're not hurting them. You know what I mean? Surely I hope not. You know what I mean? So
hopefully they're not that fragile.
Yeah, no kidding. So like it's to the point where we just want them to be happy wherever they're at. You know what I mean? And of course we have to kill them. I get it. We're hunters, but at the same time we enjoy seeing them. Yeah. We see hens. We're like, oh yeah, you've seen some hens. You get a trail picture. Oh, I got 6 gobblers on this. You get excited.
And then in the summertime, like better than any strut or anything else is when you see a hen walk by and she's got 8 babies with her. Like, woo!
For sure.
Home run.
Sure. So I hope for good hatches. I try to let them be, and I hope they get to enjoy all the food I leave for the deer with the soybeans and the corn and all the clovers I have. And I haven't got into the grasses like Jason has. We are starting that, but yeah, I mean, we don't hurt them. You know what I mean? We don't outfit turkeys. I don't, because we don't. Number one, we don't have the population, and we just want to be a deer operation, but we don't try to leave them be. So like this morning, we killed a turkey on 1,000-acre block. Yeah. And we're not going to go back in there.
And it hadn't been, that 1,000-acre block had not been turkey hunted in 2 years.
2 years. So we try to leave them alone, man.
Yeah.
Best I can, but I like calling to them. You know what I mean? I guess we have to start calling them up and just shoot them with paintball guns and just mark them. And then they get to live, If you call up another one with a paint mark on it, you did good because he's done been shot with a paintball. So he's been called in once. So he's got, I think Eddie Salter told me that one time. He was going to make that up, or maybe it was Vandy. I don't know. Some of the guys down south that was talking about having a competition of paintballing them to see if you could call up other turkeys with paintball marks. I mean, you done called him in twice. That means you're good. You know what I mean? So
catch and release turkeys.
Catch and release. So, but then we don't get to eat them, and they're good to eat.
They are good to eat. Well, that's where we'll wrap it up. Great chatting with you guys. Congrats on a good hunt today and staying diligent, getting it done this morning. We'll have a video about the hunt this week and the kill today coming out soon. And check out our turkey cleaning video, turkey cooking video. Last podcast we did with Joe and why he's one of our top agents. And John, good to chat with you.
Hey, great. It was great being here. These guys, they treat their customers, which I know they do. The way they treated me, top rate. I mean, it's the top of the heap. Yeah. Good people, and like yourself, I got to hunt with you a little. And I just enjoyed myself. I know Joe was getting pressure on himself because he was, trying to get me a turkey, and
it was weighing on me. It really was. I told somebody yesterday in a text. I said some explicit words, but I said, "This is unbelievable that I can't get this guy a turkey." I just really beside myself. I was like, I don't know if I went more than 3 days of my life without having somebody pull the trigger. And we were on day 9 together, including 3 years ago when you came or whatever in this trip. So this trip was, what's the morning, 4 or 5?
5.
Now we killed 2 the first day. He wasn't running the gun the first day, so it doesn't count. But then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
We averaged a turkey every other day, but we went through a 4-day dry spell.
4-day dry spell, and it was starting to bother me. It's just what it is. You got to get checked up sometimes. You know what I mean? So I was mad, and I'm in a better mood now. So,
but what I wanted to add to that, I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but as you get older, it's the experience more than kill. Yeah. There's no, we all want to kill a turkey, and there was a time in my life that was way more important now. Now I'm gonna go back, and I've been calling my wife and telling her what we've been doing, and we're laughing and we're having a good time. Don't rush in to shoot a turkey at the expense of not having fun.
Absolutely.
And build a relationships, because they'll last forever. A picture of a dead turkey, it's not. But it's still, like you said it earlier, when the calling circuit and then the hunting has just brought so many good people together.
The whole hunting world is a small pool.
It is.
You know what I mean? It's a very small pool. So a lot of turkey guys know turkey guys, you know what I mean? The diehards, and the callers and the guys that like to hunt them. So all respect each other, but I didn't want you to go tell all these top callers I couldn't get you a turkey. You know what I mean? Oh, hey, yeah. I want
you to blame me.
I want you to say it on a public podcast that this is the first time what's happened today.
Yeah.
What's the first?
2 first times today. First time I ever had a hunt filmed. I've been along on filmed hunts, but I'm always the guy calling. And the first time anybody ever called me in a turkey.
Besides the first one, that's 60 when you were 16 or whatever, you said somebody called Gen 1 when you were a kid.
Yeah. Oh,
no,
yeah.
He was a kid. He already said it.
Well, I wasn't a turkey hunter then.
That's right.
Well,
and it was a fall scenario too.
Fall.
Yeah, this is my moment.
Squashed him like a bug, didn't we?
Just paying attention. Sorry.
It's and it's been.
I forgot.
I don't know how long it's been since somebody's called me in a turkey, so maybe tomorrow morning,
I'll be glad to reciprocate.
I'll be hard to leave that thing in the pocket. I'm gonna tell you. You'll have to get in there and take it out before we go to the sit down because I'll be reaching for it. The first morning we got set up. Just a real quick story, we'll be done. So we get in there and Jason knew who this turkey was. He'd hunted a couple times. We're gonna get in a different area, haunt him. We get in there, he's gobbling. We're moving in. We're close. We're in a good area to set up and kill him.
I've got my daughter with me.
Daughter Cora's there, and I'm right next to them, and Cora's running the gun. He's behind us. And last thing I said to John, I said, it's your show. You run it. And I went and sat down. I said, decoys up, and I sat down next to them. We're 30 yards apart.
Yeah.
We're sitting there, and he's back there fumbling around. This turkey's ripping on the limb, and I'm like,
fumbling around.
I'm like,
precision.
I told him, I said, he better hurry up. I'm fitting to get him. You know what I mean? So I just was biting my tongue, and then we kind of did it together. I did a little tree talk. He did a little tree talk, but that's really sweet when you get two guys talking to each other just about 30, 40 yards apart. And he, of course, run over us and we killed him. But I was itching because I said, it's your show, baby. Your show.
It was a hammer, too.
Yeah, it was a hammer. But anyway, good stuff. It's fun to be out there with guys that love it like we do. So.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun, guys. Thanks, John.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for having me here.
Yeah.
Love it.
Reach out to us if you have any questions. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to TrophyCast. If you want to learn more about trophy properties and auction or want to buy or sell your own trophy property, please visit our website at trophypa.com. That's trophy, P as in properties, A as in auction.com. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow or subscribe to us on your podcast player of choice. Also, we would really appreciate it if you would recommend us to a friend. If you have any questions or comments after listening to this episode, please message us at marketing@trophypa.com. Thanks again for listening, and we'll be back with another episode soon.